everybody. Thank you all for tuning in to this Google Hangout with Travelocity's very first iWannaGo winner, just off the heels of his trip to Machu Picchu, Josh Ames. Hey, Josh.
Hello, Courtney. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you? You back to reality?
I am back to reality now, yes.
Where are you coming from right now? Where are you coming to us from?
I'm in Des Moines, Iowa.
Okay, quite a stark contrast from Machu Picchu.
Quite a bit, yes,
Let's go
especially from an
back a little
elevation
bit.
standpoint.
Yeah, let's take it back to the beginning. For anyone who doesn't know how you won the contest, tell us a little bit about how you entered, how you found out you won, and where were you when you won the contest?
Yeah, so my little secret is I'm a huge reality TV fan. So I was laying on the couch one Sunday night watching The Amazing Race and saw the commercial. And obviously, being somewhat of a techie, had my phone laying right there, and I'm pretty active on Twitter, so I just threw out the simple tweet that I would love to go to Machu Picchu. Obviously tagged the Roaming Gnome and the hashtag iWannaGo, and included a picture of Machu Picchu. It was actually a trip I've been planning to take next year for my birthday, and then submitted it, and that's all it was. A couple weeks later, got the announcement from the Roaming Gnome, got the tweet that I had won. I was actually at work and was pretty blown away. Really actually didn't believe it for a couple days.
So once it all kind of sunk in, you decided on who you were going to take on the trip, and you decided on your dad, which I think is a great choice. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so the funny story leading up to that is I decided to take my dad, and at the time he actually did not have a passport. He's never had a passport, never traveled. I shouldn't say never traveled out of the country, because he used to be in the Air Force overseas. But basically it's been a really long time since we had really taken a vacation together. Obviously growing up we did some family vacations, nearby where we live and stuff, but never had really taken that big great trip, and so I thought it'd be a great opportunity to take him, kind of give back to him for what he's done for me, and just really enjoy the experience with him, knowing that, it truly was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to be able to do it, and figured he was just a first choice to go.
So I hope you guys can see these pictures. This is of Josh, you and your dad, and the Roaming Gnome. Where are you guys here?
This is on the train on the way to Aguas Calientes, which is the city we stayed in right at the base of Machu Picchu.
Awesome. Love the hat. Did you guys get some of those hats? Now this one here, tell us a little bit about, before you even got to Machu Picchu, you did an awesome horseback riding adventure. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so we stayed just outside of Cusco, mainly for elevation purposes, just to get out of the elevation, especially coming from Iowa when we're probably at sea level, and going up so high, and just the stories I'd heard about getting altitude sickness. So we decided to stay outside Cusco, and beforehand I had read and did some research on this horseback riding trip. It was essentially pretty much an all-day trip. I think we were really only on the horses for maybe 3 or 4 hours, but really cool experience. It took us through, I think the first picture you showed was through a town called Maras, which is an older city, and then like this example here I think was near lunch. So we stopped on a bluff and basically had lunch. They provided an organic lunch that they had actually prepared themselves and brought with. So just really cool sightseeing as well, but it was a really neat way to see that you probably wouldn't see doing a typical tourist trip. Well,
the views look breathtaking.
Yeah. And this was actually right at the beginning of the trip, as soon as we got up into the mountains with the horses. So this is the famed salt mines, which was just incredible. I had seen pictures ahead of time, but didn't realize it was actually as big as it was. But they are known here for pink salt coming out of these salt mines. So very cool area. We actually were able to walk down and see how they mined the salt out of these pools. We actually were able to dip our hands into the water and taste it, and you could just taste the salt right away.
So this was all part of the same horseback riding trip
Yep.
that took place before Machu Picchu, and then you had about 7 days in total. And after this trip, you ended up at base camp of Machu Picchu, right?
Correct.
So tell us a little bit about the experience of finally arriving there, and then what transpired after you got to base camp.
Yeah. So even the city that we're calling base camp was really cool. A nice little area. It had this huge, roaring river right there. Actually, in the background of that picture, you can see it. And our hotel was just across the street. But really, really high mountains. I mean, you're really down in the valley right there. So we got there Friday afternoon, and then the next day is when we actually went up to Machu Picchu, which took about a 20-minute bus ride from the city here, basically just going up switchbacks all the way up the mountain until you got there. Unfortunately, most of the morning it rained, so it was pretty wet, but it ended up clearing up and getting really nice in the afternoon. So we were at Machu Picchu pretty much all day on Saturday. And it was just incredible. Definitely, there was some cool areas that you typically don't see in the majority of pictures, and the one that you've got here actually took probably another 15 to 20 minutes to climb up to, even once you got through the entrance to Machu Picchu.
Wow.
But just breathtaking. And I have a little bit of a fear of heights, so I did decent. But what was interesting is in this picture, the mountain that's tallest straight in the back there,
yeah.
You can actually climb up that as well. There's a trail to climb up that, so we did see some people up there, but definitely not for me.
So how much time do you recommend travelers to Machu Picchu giving themselves to really be able to take it all in?
Yeah, we were there, like I said, pretty much all day Saturday. It rained for a couple hours in the morning before it cleared up enough where we could actually get out and walk around. But I think a day is plenty. I know you can take guided tours, and the guided tours will take you through everything, every part of Machu Picchu, and I think that tour lasts about 2 to 3 hours. So even that, if you wanted to make it a short day, you could do that. But I talked with a lot of people, even at the hotel, that actually were doing 2 days, Friday, and then they were turning around and going back up on Saturday. So it really just depends on how much you want to get out of it. But for me, a day was definitely enough.
And you said that the altitudes did get to you slightly, but giving yourself a day is really a good way to kind of settle in before you take on Machu Picchu?
Yeah, so a lot of what I've read and heard actually recommends that you do stay in Cusco for about 2 days to get acclimated to the altitude. Like I said, we kind of didn't do that. We were a little bit lower elevation, but what's funny is Machu Picchu is actually lower than Cusco is. So it did get to me for about half the day Saturday when we were up there. But nothing too bad. But yeah, definitely try to give yourself a day or two ahead of time outside of Machu Picchu just so that you can acclimate, especially if you're not used to the heights.
So what was it like going with Dad? And I love this picture here. A little throwback.
Yeah.
Tell us about this, and tell us how your dad enjoyed the trip as well. He couldn't be here today, but he'll be watching.
Yeah,
today.
no, my dad absolutely loved it. He's still, I think we've been home week and a half now, and he still just talks about it nonstop about how great it was. In fact, we're actually going to meet up tomorrow, I think, and kind of share our photos back and forth between what he took and what I took. But this specific photo, what we're doing is we're actually holding a picture from really the last major trip that we took. And I know it's a little difficult to see, but essentially I was maybe 1 or 2 years old, small enough to be in a backpack on his back. And that trip was actually in Europe, and I believe that we are at Hitler's Eagle Nest, where he had like his main compound up on a mountain.
Wow.
So it was kind of also interesting that, that big trip we were on a mountain, this trip happened to be on a big mountain, but just a very cool experience to kind of expand on that, years and years later.
I love it. Now, Josh, as you know, there are 2 winners. You are the first, and
Yes.
there will be another winner announced for the iWannaGo contest very soon. So, do you have any advice for that winner? We don't know where they'll be going, but advice coming from you as you just came back from your trip.
Yeah. Pack lightly. Because you're probably going to be carrying a lot and going a lot of places. We purposely packed light as well so that we could buy stuff to bring back from there instead of being overloaded. And other than that, really just take the time to obviously take it in, enjoy the location that you're at, and really just enjoy it. I'm really big on also kind of like that horseback riding trip, trying to find some of the more diamonds in the rough, I guess, as you would call them, that not necessarily every tourist is going to see, and that really, to me, increases the experience even more.
Couldn't agree with you more, Josh. Hey, thank you so much for taking the time today to tell us a little bit about your trip. Guys, if you want to follow Josh in any of his future travels, he's at Josh_Ames on Twitter. And Josh, I know you'll probably be keeping close to the contest to see
Yes.
where the next person is going. We'll be announcing it soon, so follow Travelocity on Google Plus and Travelocity on Twitter to find out the next winner coming soon. So again, Josh, thanks so much. And
yeah, thank you very much, Courtney.
thanks everyone for watching.
Bye.